Well, we're back here with head coach Mickey Dean of the JMU softball team as we are getting prepped for the 2016 season. We have already previewed the utility players and the outfield core, and now we're going to take a look at the infielders, coach. And first, why don't you take us, down the line of the makeup of this position of the infielders?
Well, the nice thing about our infield at this point is, in the past, we haven't had any depth in the infield. You know, if somebody went down, it was difficult to make those adjustments. We've actually got our infield positions to where we're 3 deep in each position. Somebody who can go in and play that position. So that's a nice thing to have. It's also, from a competitive standpoint, knowing that every day you have to work and come out and do your job. And so they've done a nice job of that. Right now, if you take a look, if we start at third base, you've got Morgan Toll kind of leading the charge right now. Last year she played second base for us, and Maddie played third base. And we kind of flip-flopped those two, moved Maddie to second and Morgan to third. Just looking at their abilities, what fit them the best. And Maddie's range is a little bit better than Morgan's, but Morgan's throwing angles are more suited to third base. So we did make that change. It was an experiment in the fall, and it seemed to work extremely well for us. And then in both of those positions as backups, those two can be intertwined. And then as backup, you have Paige Mitchell, who's been working at both at third base and at second base, and has done a really nice job of coming in and listening to those players and how the position is played. And it's nice to have those three together because, like I say, you know, Maddie played third base last year, Morgan played second base, so she's able to have that conversation about how to play each position with two players. And then Jenny Bean has been working at third base and first base. So, you're 3 deep there at third base. When we go to shortstop right now, Nikki Prince is leading the way. She did a nice job for us last year. And she's even gotten better, which, when we come in the fall, we open up the positions every fall. We say, all right, go win a position. And so we took all our infielders, we put them at shortstop. We said, somebody go win it. And Nikki ended up winning it. And then we moved to second base, and then we moved to third, and then we moved to first. And that's how we do it. And then also you've got Maddie Moran, who has played shortstop most of her high school and travel ball career. So she has experience at shortstop. She has great range. So what she doesn't have in arm strength, she makes up with in speed and quickness. And then again, you have Paige Mitchell, who played shortstop her entire high school career. And she also played shortstop in travel ball. So we're 3 deep there. And then you move back to second base. You've got Maddie, Morgan, and Paige. When we get to first base, we've got 2 that we're going to use at first base for the most part. And that's because they like to be on the field, and it's just that mental approach. They're 3 and 4 in our lineup, so we want them involved mentally in the game, and that's JJ and Megan. So when one's not pitching, the other one will be playing first base. The nice thing there is we have Jenny Band, who's a very, very good first baseman. And if one of those 2 need a break physically, then we're able to put Jenny in there and not, I'm telling you, not lose a step because she's very good at first base.
With all the position changes, and there's been a bunch, and even if you look at Nikki, she was an outfielder her freshman year and now going into her second year at short. With all that being said, I mean, how did the girls really, how they handled knowing that they might play 1, 2, and even for some might be 3 different positions in the infield? Well,
it's interesting you ask that question because it's a great question. When we first got here, because that's always been my philosophy. I don't care what people play. It's what works out the best. And, we did have some issues. Coach, I played this position my whole life. I did this my whole life. But now it's completely different. It's they want to learn new positions, and they want to be able to challenge. And they're really buying into learning those positions. So, we may have our defense out there, and then I'll call time, and I'll switch 2 or 3 people, and they don't even look funny anymore. They don't give you that funny glance or look at each other or like, what's going on? It's just like, boom, no problem. And that's what we need. And so they're doing a nice job with that.
Obviously, in a sport like softball, where really one play could make or break a game for you, fielding is really important in the infield and making sure those routine plays don't go awry. And, talk about what the focus has been for these infielders, knowing they might play different positions, but to, make sure that they field the ball correctly and they're able to get good throws over to first or the force, wherever it may be, to limit any extra at-bats for the opposing team this year.
Well, I think for us, we talk about this all the time. It's if you're going to make a mistake, make one on a play. We can overcome that. We can overcome an error by our shortstop. We can overcome an error in an inning by our second baseman. But what we can't do is we can't have a bobble and then throw the ball away, or have one player make two errors in a row, or our second and third baseman make an error back to back. So for us, it's coming together as a unit and knowing that we have each other's backs and understanding that mistakes won't kill us. What will kill us is multiple mistakes. And so I think it enables our defense, especially in the infield, where the game is extremely quick. They don't get as upset about a mistake as they used to. They're like, okay, I made a mistake. Now we're going to get out of this. And our pitchers have done a much better job of, if someone makes a mistake, of not letting down and saying, oh, man, I could have been out of the inning. They kind of step it up now, which is important. But that's their job. So our defense is a little bit more relaxed because they have confidence in each other, they trust in each other, and they don't just like kill over on a mistake. Mistake is okay. We can get through it. We just can't get through multiple mistakes.
And finally, like we asked with the outfield, talk about the strengths of the infield. We know we have depth, but what are some of the other strengths you see with this infielding core?
Well, I think the strength is our quickness. And I go back to, I think it was a good switch for us to take Maddie and put her at second and have Morgan play third, because it gives us more quickness in the middle, but it also puts Morgan in a position with her arm angle. Morgan's more of a sidearm, and so she's really good at defending the bunt and making those plays that are in front of you, and it allows Maddie to go get those short flares in right center or in right field, and we're able to cover more ground. So it's been a nice combination.
Well, Coach, we, of course, appreciate the time, and thanks for the insight on our infielders. Coming up in our next edition with Coach Dean, we'll preview the catching core.